Hello, everyone. We'll wait a couple of more minutes for everyone to join, and we'll start the webinar. Hello again, everyone. I think we can begin. Welcome to the webinar. Thank you for taking your time and joining us today. On this webinar, we'll talk about hybrid cloud, specifically about VMware Cloud on AWS solution. My name is Yev Berman. I'm a cloud technologist and automation expert from Terasky. Terasky is a global company. We have a representation across the world, in Europe, in America, and all over the world. We have departments featuring different areas. Terasky is trying to cover all the needs of our customers, from installing and configuring the hardware that you need to help you and configure the pipeline and help you with the development tools. We have the modern IT department where I came from. We focus on hybrid cloud storage data. We have the cloud and DevOps. This is our public cloud team, specializing on Kubernetes, native applications, modern application. We have our AI department, a few projects working on AI, machine learning, deep learning, providing this added value to our customers. And we have a brand new department which focusing on end user computing, VDI solutions. So we got all areas covered. And we have a joint venture together with our partner ITQ, which is SkyTQ. This department will be responsible for providing technical support for VMware-based solution worldwide. And this will be our call center. Terasky has a unique partnership with the most leading world vendors, focusing on public cloud like Amazon and Google. We have various certificates and with VMware on cloud management, data center, network security, VMC. We're working on Dell, Terraform, NVIDIA, to provide the best solution we can on all worlds, hybrid, public, or private cloud. So let's talk about what we're going to do today. We will go over briefly about the digital transformation challenges, what hybrid cloud trying to solve, what VMC is solving. Talk about on very high level at first, what is VMC? For people who never heard about it, are not familiar with the product, what it does, what technology is behind the scenes, what the benefits of VMC, the use cases where VMC is good, what problems it's trying to solve. We'll focus on flow implementation examples we did in Terasky. A few interesting cases I thought it would be interesting to share with you. The challenges we overcame there. The HCX is the most popular and the main product for the workload mobilization from on-premises to the cloud and backwards. We'll discuss about the technical preview, how VMC looks, what does it look like, what features you have there, what can you do with the product. And then I want to leave as much time I can for open discussions, questions you might have during this session, and maybe in general, maybe more specific use cases, you have questions, and we'll talk about it then. All the questions you have, please more than welcome to fill them in the Q&A section. I will answer them in the open discussion after the presentation, and we'll talk about everything you might be interested. So digital transformation is reshaping IT. In the modern world, the development, there are many new challenges occur every day, every week. There is a new tool, new fulfillment, new challenge that we, as most of the IT guys or the companies, have to face and keep up with the world, with the growing, the agility, the elastic, the technologies. And it's sometimes hard to provide those solutions with on-premises with the tools we already have. So we might need the public cloud tools that are also very agile, very fast to keep in the face. The challenges of implementing a hybrid cloud strategy. Most of the IT team and most organizations have a very good tool and products to monitor and maintain their current infrastructure. But once we go to the public cloud, there are different skill set, new technologies, new products, new concepts, new everything. And it may cause some decreased agility because we need to reshape how we think of the application. We used to think about virtual machines. Now it's containers. Sometimes it's a hybrid, consistent data, inconsistent data, etc. High risk because of the skill shortage and the concept and the mindset we had in the previous world is not always applicable for the new approach. And due to that, the higher cost of training, mistakes that may be done in the public cloud, because public cloud, might be very cheap, might be very expensive, depends on how you utilize it, what services you do there, and etc. And that's something, those are the challenges VMware and AWS together with a partnership trying to solve with VMC on AWS. Sorry. So VMware is the world leading infrastructure provider for most of the companies worldwide, providing them the data centers, the vCenter, the ESXi, the vRealize suite, everything we know. And AWS is the leading public cloud company today, providing with hundreds of services during the year, very flexible worldwide, providing you all the new features, everything you want there. So VMware and AWS try to give both worlds in one solution, and that's exactly what VMC on AWS is. VMC on AWS provide you seamless migration between your on-premises and your SDDC, the software-defined data center, based on AWS hardware. With different tools like HTX that we'll talk further, you can migrate live VM from your on-premises without service interruption, without any effort, with the same operating system, same configuration. We'll talk about the use cases when we even preserve the IP. Everything, the VM as is, went to the public cloud, you might say. As a service, you can, on a press of one button of one click, to increase your SDDC, get new hardware, get new service. It might be vRealize Automation Cloud, vRops Cloud, everything you want. As a service on a click, you just need to contact the support to activate the service, and you just getting it. The consistent. It's the same technologies you use on premises, same products, the very familiar UI we're using for years now. It's very familiar, very convenient. We will have a few screenshots and discuss about those technologies. Portable, you don't have to modify, you don't have to upgrade, you don't have to do anything with your workload, your VMs. You just take them as is and migrate them to the cloud. And modern apps. The partnership with Amazon provide you almost seamless access to native AWS services from your VMware virtual machine. So this is the infrastructure that we have here. On the left, we have your on-premises vCenter based environment. On the middle, we have the SDDC. VMware SDDC based on VMware technologies like vSphere, vCen, and NSX that provide you all the storage and networking capabilities that you might need in the public cloud. And out of the box connection to native AWS services. You can put your templates, your data on S3 bucket. You can utilize FSX, which is a service by Amazon. Shares maybe data, Lambda, whatever it is on native AWS services. As long as it has an endpoint, you can expose it and utilize it from VMware machine, like it inside the internal AWS networking. Each SDDC has its dedicated hardware AWS hosts that are totally yours. You're not shared with anyone. All the performance depends on you, how much load you put on your host. You have online support by VMware chat. If you have any question or a problem, you can open a support chat, and in general, in a matter of few minutes, you will get a response from an engineer that will either provide you an answer or will open a ticket for you. So a senior engineer will help you with that issue that you might have. If you have any problem with Amazon, VMware might help you to contact Amazon. If it's something on the infrastructure, if it's a problem with the service, you will have to contact Amazon directly. It utilizes all the Amazon services, all the data centers across the globe. When you create the SDDC, you can choose the region it will be deployed. And you will have, if you have on-premises data center or you're utilizing already AWS services, you can choose your DDC to be closed to reduce latency and egress traffic. Some of the services that VMware provide as part of that you can utilize together with VMC. It's the VMware Tanzu Kubernetes Grid, if you heard of, the Cloud Director Service, Horizon, Network Insight, Log Insight. The Log Insight you can connect also to your on-premises or your cloud solution. It will gather the information from there. It can forward the information to your log analysis tool. VRA, of course, VRA on-premises, VRA Cloud, VRA Ops Operation, and VRA Ops Cloud. And the Wavefront, a newly branded solution to monitor your environment. I will now go deeply in those solutions. You can go to VMC site. There's solution category there, and you can read about it or contact us, and we can discuss those services in particular. But there is an option to contact your on-premises together with VMC and monitor them all together. When VMC is good, those are the 4 main use cases. We feel like VMC might be the perfect solution for that. Disaster recovery, it might be a new DR, replacing an existing DR, complement existing DR. You have a dedicated SDDC. You can put it wherever you want across the globe. You have an SRM service to get on the VMC that you can activate and protect your on-premises environment on this domain controller. And you don't need to worry about maintenance, upgrades, about the stability of the environment. VMware does it for you. Data center extension, if out of the blue you have to extend your data center, your company acquired a new company, or you're merging with another company and you need rapid data center extension, this might be the perfect solution. Creating a new SDDC take about 2 hours before you have a new environment, or if you have already existing environment and you want to add additional hardware, it take about 15 minutes to add additional host and utilize it. Cloud migration, if you have the need and your development team, for example, want to utilize native AWS services, it's both relevant to the cloud migration, next generation apps. With HCX, you can migrate all your environment to SDDC without changing or without any change to your infrastructure team, and you will have native connection to AWS, which is secured internally in AWS networking, and start utilizing AWS services tomorrow. Pretty transparent. Now I want to discuss with you a few of the use cases that we had with our customers in Terasky, the challenges we overcame, and the timeline it took us to do so. So one of the most challenging use cases we had, a company approached us. They had an application that is hybrid with physical and virtual servers, and they want to migrate this application to the cloud, to VMC. And they also wanted to preserve the IP addresses they have on premises. They didn't want to change because some of the application was configured hard-coded with the IP addresses. So in this case, we gathered a few of our experts, a few of the vSphere side, and a networking expert guy. We performed the P2V to all the physical servers, to the on-premises vCenter. We tested that the application working successfully when it's all virtual. We cloned all the existing virtual machines on an isolated network on the on-premises, and together with HCX, we configured the HCX. In this case, took 4 days because we had many firewall challenges. It was a complex networking topology, including 4 firewalls along the way and 1 internet gateway. It was a bit of a challenge. We in Terasky have a networking expert team, and together with them, we managed to map all the firewalls on all the networks and able to reach the internet. And then it took us around 2 days to migrate 10 terabytes of data. And after total time, after 8 days, from physical servers, we had virtual machines running on VMC. Another use case we had is a temporary SDDC. As we mentioned, this company acquired a brand new company, and they had a requirement to host those servers, those applications on their environment, and they didn't have the hardware to do so. So they purchased SDDC for those VMs. We had to duplicate some of the production environment with the data to the isolated SDDC, and we had to preserve the infrastructure and application topology. First of all, we wrote together with VRA and VRO few automation scripts to duplicate the existing VMs, clear the production data they have on the VMs, change the IP addresses, configured some tools. They had a few agents, some backup agents, monitoring agents. We need to reconfigure them through automation in order to work with the new tools on the isolated SDDC. We powered off all the VMs, configured the HCX again, and migrated the application. 11 terabytes. In this case, it took 6 days because it took some time to clone the VM, clean the data, change the configuration, and then migrate it. The migration part was almost seamless. It was in parallel. So in total, we had 7 days of everything end to end. And after 1 week, we had a brand new SDDC ready to purpose new customers and new employees that were, in this company. Another case of data center extension is a scale application on demand. We had a company that had its own peaks and need to scale rapidly their application on different occasions like holidays or other high intense compute load demands from the customers. So they wanted their main application and the core of the business stay on premises, but when it's needed to scale and extend it to the SDDC to the public cloud. So in this case, the challenge is to preserve the IPs and the default gateway on the on-premises while the VMs run seamlessly on the SDDC. So using the HCX, one of the features HCX provide you, we can extend layer 2 from the on-premises to the cloud. So the VM runs on the SDDC, but the default gateway on premises. Because those both data centers, the on-premises and the public one, were very close geographically, because they chose the region in AWS that was very close to their on-premises SDDC. The latency was very low, and the VM were able to work on that because the databases were on premises, but the workload was on SDDC, and it worked fine without any performance degradation. It took us 2 days to prepare and configure the whole the SDDC and the HCX and migrate the VMs when needed. When the scale is required, we scale up, scale out the VMs, migrate them, and when they're not needed, we just delete them. Here we had a use case where we had to utilize AWS native services. It was a brand new environment. They had environment, and then they had a production environment, and they wanted a pre-prod environment. And of course, the request was to utilize native AWS services, and they wanted to also to perform load testing on this environment. So on the daily basis, the environment is pretty small. It was the minimum requirement for the SDDC, which is 3 AWS hosts. But when they performed the load testing, which is more than 500,000 of concurrent connections, they needed to scale the application. The data source that we had to work with was OVF templates. So it took us only 1 day to configure the SDDC. To configure and deploy the application took 2 days. We had a very complex microsegmentation policy there because it's a highly secure application. We had to configure IP to IP firewall rules. Some of them going outside. They had few of the resources run on different public clouds. It wasn't only AWS. It was Google and Azure. And we had to configure very precisely what are the rules and what are we allowing or not. And the native AWS services is out-of-the-box feature, only firewall rules required on the SDDC, VMC side, and on Amazon side, the VPC you're connecting to. Once you allow this connection, everything works seamlessly with the internal AWS, connectivity. And the additional host for load testing is taking about 15 minutes. I will show you on the screenshots how you can do it on demand. With only one button click, you can add additional host. After 10 or 15 minutes of automation, you will receive a brand new host. And once you finish using it, you can remove host. It enters maintenance mode by automation and removes from your SDDC. Let's talk a bit about the HCX. There are a few options to migrate your VMs and your workload from your on-premises to the SDDC. You can use hybrid link mode, you can use content library, you can use OVF templates, and many more. They're pretty straightforward. The hybrid link mode is a bit of a configuration, but again, it's pretty straightforward. The HCX is the most interesting, the most popular tool to migrate your load from on-premises to SDDC, especially because it can be seamless. You can do live emotion on a powered on VM as long as from network perspective, it has either layer 2 extension to the SDDC or it has default gateway or the ability to run there, but it can be done. HCX, as you deploy HCX on the SDDC, it's fully automated. You have a download link for HCX appliance to deploy on your on-premises environment. You deploy it. The configuration of the HCX is not very straightforward. It might be complex because there are different tunneling, different security levels, and different components that's come part of the HCX. But once it configured, you have the side pairing, you have the tunnel for the connectivity, you have the optimization appliance there, which reduce some of the costs and increase the speed of the migration to the cloud. It works bi-directly. You can migrate from premises to the SDDC and from SDDC to on-premises. Sorry, there are some requirements that need to be done, like vSphere 5 and above. Few distributed switch, RDM cannot be part of the live vMotion, etc. Most of those requirements you're already familiar with. But once the HCX is configured, you have on your on-premises vCenter, you have additional add-on. You go to the HCX, you have a migration section, you just choose the VM, choose the dedicated folder, data store, cluster, and etc. on your cloud SDDC, and it starts working. It's as simple as that. It's pretty fast. The performance and the speed, of course, rely on many variables. It can be network bottleneck, it can be compute, and etc. But in most cases, it's pretty fast and pretty seamless migration. There is a bulk migration option, which is the more popular one. You can migrate up to 100 VMs simultaneously. There is some kind of a queue for the migration because there is limitation on the ESXi level, but what it does, it's based on a vSphere application. It will replicate the VM to the destination data center, then it will power off the source VM and will power on the destination VM. So on the documentation says restart required. Behind the scenes, it's replication, power off, power on with the same configuration, IP, MAC, everything. And it's much easier and safer way to do it. vMotion, you have a bit more limitation, but still it is doable to live VM from one VM to another, and the service disruption is like on regular vMotion, few milliseconds, if any. Wanted to show you a bit how it looked like when you get your organization from VMware, when you receive your first data center, what you really get, how looks the UI. So this is the Cloud Console. We already entered the VMC service. You can go to the service, to the catalog service selection. You will see there are services like Login Site, VROps, everything we mentioned in the previous slide. Here we can see one SDDC deployed in Frankfurt, US Central, Europe Central. We have 6 hosts here, 1 cluster. This is the resources you get from your 6 hosts. It's 62 terabytes of storage, 3 terabytes of RAM, and I think it's 48 cores per host. I might be wrong here. And here you can, from the actions, add additional cluster, add additional host, remove host, create a new SDDC. It's pretty straightforward. Here we also can see that maintenance scheduled. It's something really important about VMC on AWS. VMC on AWS always receiving the most newest features there are. Most of the features are not available to the public. vSphere 7 was released in VMC about 2 months before it was a GA through my VMware. Everything taken care of you. There's no service disruption. All the maintenance for upgrading your ESXi hosts, your vCenter, your HCX, NSX, whatever component it is, it's seamless. There is a small risk of a service disruption. The SLA, I think, is 4 or 5 nines. If there is, VMware will help you and take responsibility for that. You can change and schedule your maintenance window when you prefer to be occurred. There might be some performance impact because ESXi goes in the maintenance mode and VMs do vMotion, etc. You can you can choose do the maintenance right now if you want. It all depends on you, and VMware will be responsible for that. This is the details of the SDDC. This is the most important tab, the network and security. On the add-ons, maintenance, troubleshooting, setting, and support is pretty straightforward information. There's not too much special there. This is the network and security, is the NSX-T section. Here's the overview. We can see in this specific SDDC, we have 2 VPNs configured. We have 1 direct connection configured. We have connected to the VPC and connection to the internet. On the left, everything is UI-based. You don't have the direct access to the NSX-T, but all the main features that you want are available from here. Segments is create a new port group. You will choose the segment, the default gateway. You will save it, and the automation will create this port group on the vCenter level as well. So all the port groups, all the segments you want to create is done here through UI, the VPN configuration. If you want to have a NAT on your environment, you have micro-segmentation firewall out of the box configured here. You can configure it based on name, IP, specific VM, specific NIC. If you want your data center to be more secure. And of course, you have the DNS, DHCP, and at the bottom, we have direct connect configuration there. So everything you want about security and networking, here, very intuitive from the simple user perspective. You don't need deep NSX-T knowledge or how it works or how to configure tier 1, tier 0, whatever it is. You just go there and VMware's automation does it for you behind the scenes. What you get at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is a vCenter. You already know vCenter version 7, as you have on your on-premises, with a few small differences. You don't have full administrator control here. You have a cloud admin group. A cloud admin group that give you all the permission you need, which is VM, power user, and a bit more. You can modify your clusters. You can modify data store configuration because you don't need to. It is a fully managed service. You have a vCenter data store. Everything related to the network you're doing through the cloud console. You have a small management resource pool, which you don't have full access to it. You can only view the resources there are there, like vCenter, NSX, HCX, and other components that are deployed in USDC. It's there, it's read-only. And your computer resource, which is most of your cluster, most of the resources you will need, everything here, you deploy your VF, can deploy from template, configure content library with your SDDC, with your, on-premises vCenter, migrate and do whatever you want. And just a vCenter, as you know it. This is the magic of this solution. That would be it. I will now go through the Q&A. Hopefully we have a few questions there we can discuss, and I will try to do my best to answer them. We don't have any questions. Does someone have any questions, concerns, maybe want to deep dive in different subjects, maybe a use case you have that you want to discuss if it might work or not? We have in the general chat a question here. What is the tool for migration for DR? It's recommended to create an environment in VMware on-prem and deploy it to the cloud. I'm not sure what you mean here, but the straightforward tool that used for DR is SRM. Is the tool configured? You need a vCenter environment for DR, then you will deploy an SRM service, which is a VM behind the scenes on your SDDC. You will configure the protection group and the replication from both environments, and then it will replicate. Like as you have two vCenters, just in this case, one of them is on a public cloud, and the SRM is a managed service. And that's kind of it. I hope that answered the questions, Ev. Can you please explain licensing details? Yes, all the license included. Some of the services like VRA or VROps or Log Insight, it's additional license. It's additional service that you have to pay to contact VMware and pay for them. But everything related to the SDDC like vCenter, NSX-T, ESXi hosts, HCX, etc., it's all included as part of the solution. When you purchase the SDDC, all the license included, additional services, additional license. Is there any change in vMotion behavior, cloud on-prem and back, particular in freeze time? No, it's almost the same as seamless. If we're talking about the live vMotion, it's a bit more limited because that can, through HCX, that can be only one of them running simultaneously. It's the limitation you have there. Bulk migration, it's a restart required, but from freeze time, no, it's the same technology that uses the VMs on premises, just on the cloud, and there's almost no service disruption. It's live vMotion. You may see one ping drop. That's it. Is it mandatory to have NSX on-prem VMware to have a hybrid cloud? No, not at all. You only need a vCenter version 5.0 and above. If you want to extend layer 2 VXLAN or something like that, yes, NSX is required. But for hybrid solution without layer 2 extension, you don't have to need NSX or any NSX knowledge at all. How come default gateway remote location does not add a network latency? Please elaborate. It does a bit, but if, for example, your on-premises your on-premises data center located in Frankfurt, and you have deployed your SDDC in Frankfurt. So this is, for an example, the case we had with one of the customers. The latency is very small. It does add a few milliseconds, but it's still less. It was, I think, around 20 milliseconds, if I'm not mistaken. So its latency can be ignored. Because it's very nearby location. If your data center located, I don't know, in Frankfurt, your SDDC, but your on-premises located in Spain, there will be latency. There's nothing we can do about it. That's what I meant, because both data centers was very close by geographically. Does this service available on Azure because on different location? No, this is only service for Amazon. There are a few different solutions like VMware on Dell. There is something on Azure. I'm not really familiar with the details, but this particular solution works only on Azure. Can we also use API for everything, or do we need to use some features from the UI only? I don't have the particular answer for if there's some limitation. There is a good API. I will go a few slides back, sorry. Here on the left, you have the Developer Center. The Developer Center will describe it's some kind of version of a Swagger when you can see all the utilities on all the API calls you have there. You can execute most of them from the Developer Center. It will give you an examples and the option to execute an API request. It's a bit different approach than the normal API because you need first to get an API token for your SDDC. You can do it easily through your account. There's an option, generate API token. You can limit it by time and permission. Provide it to your customers, development team, give them the API token, and they will use it. And it's some of the API calls very similar for the NSX and the vCenter. Some of them a bit different because it's a managed NSX-T and you don't have a full control over it. But you can use API for most of them. We had a use case when we used Terraform to configure and some of the HCX, we deployed the HCX manually, but then all the configuration, the migration of the VMs was done through Terraform. So I think most of them is there. If not, everything you can do through UI is currently available through API. It will be in the future. When you have a hybrid cloud, will the AWS VMs show up in the regular vCenter or in AWS? Or rather, would you have an extra vCenter in AWS? No. What happened behind the scenes, you have your VPC, which you are managing, you have full permission. You allocate some of the networks there, the networks that you need for the management, CIDR, permission, and etc. But this SDDC runs on a shadow VPC that is fully managed by VMware. You don't have access to it. You don't have the permission. If you need to access, we had a performance issue on one of the customers. We contacted VMware and they logged in to this shadow VPC. They deployed the VM there to see if there are any performance without the VMC layer. But it's a shadow VPC, everything executed there. I honestly have no idea how they implemented it behind the scenes, but from your VPC that you connected the VMC to it, you will only see virtual ENI on your routing table, which is the interface for the edge For the NSX-T, there is a floating edge that can migrate from different ESXi hosts, and the ENI might change. So there is an automation. Once the edge jumps from one ESXi to another, it changes the ENI, and it will update your routing table on your VPC AWS account, but you cannot see it anywhere there. I am located in Israel for the latency matter. Currently, there is no solution for Israel. There will be latency if you want to extend layer 2. There's some kind of, I don't know how sensitive your application. If it's about 20, 30 milliseconds, I don't think we currently have the solution for that. But if it's around 60, 70 milliseconds, I'm pretty sure Frankfurt can fill this slot. And maybe in the future, we will have Amazon data center in Israel, but currently there's no low latency solution for that. Those are all the questions in Q&A. Let's see if there's something new in the chat. Thank you, Valerie, for kind words. That would be all, unless we have more questions. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for joining me today. You can, I will leave that last slide with my contact details. You're more than welcome to contact me via email or in Israel via phone. I'm more than help you to answer any question you have, any concerns, different services. If it's just a general question, would be gladly to answer you that. Hope you enjoy, and thank you very much for your time.